Welcome to Farming Aid.
When you look at a Hungarian gray bull standing tall on the open plains, with its massive sweeping horns and steel-gray coat, it feels like you are staring straight into the past. These cattle don't just look different from modern farm breeds, they look ancient, almost wild. And that raises a powerful question. How close are they to the legendary Aurochs, the giant wild cattle that once ruled Europe before disappearing forever? In this video, we are going to travel thousands of years back in time to uncover the true connection between the Hungarian Gray and the Aurochs. We will explore where the Aurochs came from, how it shaped all modern cattle, and why the Hungarian Gray is often seen as its living echo. This is not just a story about animals, it is a story about history, survival, and the deep roots that still run through the cattle we see today. The Aurochs was one of the most powerful herbivores of the ancient world. Standing taller than most modern cattle and carrying massive, forward-curving horns, it was built for survival in forests, wetlands, and open grasslands. Cave paintings in places like Lascaux show Aurochs as symbols of strength and danger, animals that early humans both feared and respected. These were not docile farm animals. They were aggressive when threatened and fast enough to outrun many predators. Their bodies were lean and muscular, adapted to long migrations and harsh climates. This wild foundation is the root from which every domestic cow on Earth ultimately descends. Domestication of the Aurochs began around 10,000 years ago in different regions. In the Near East, people started capturing and breeding smaller, more manageable individuals. Over generations, these animals changed in size, temperament, and appearance. They became the first domestic cattle. In Europe, some wild Aurochs populations survived much longer, and in isolated regions. Early farmers likely bred cattle that still retained a lot of the Aurochs' look and behavior. This is where breeds like the Hungarian Gray begin to enter the story, not as direct Aurochs, but as living reflections of that ancient form. Hungarian Gray cattle developed in the Carpathian Basin, a region shaped by migration, conquest, and trade for thousands of years. Nomadic peoples, medieval armies, and trading caravans all passed through this land, bringing animals with them and shaping local livestock. Over time, a distinct type of cattle emerged that was tall, long-legged, and equipped with dramatic, lyre-shaped horns. The coat color, often silver-gray with darker shading, gave the breed its name. These cattle were tough, able to survive on poor pasture, endure cold winters, and walk long distances without losing condition. When you look at Hungarian Gray cattle, you see something that feels closer to wild nature than to modern industrial breeds. Their horns are not short or trimmed. They grow long and wide, curving upward like the horns seen in ancient art of the Aurochs. Their bodies are not overly bulky like modern beef cattle, but lean and athletic. Their faces have a sharp, intelligent look. Even their behavior can feel different. They are more alert, more aware of their surroundings, and less dependent on human handling than many commercial breeds. This resemblance has led many people to believe Hungarian Gray might be a direct descendant of the Aurochs. In reality, no living cattle breed is a pure Aurochs. The last known Aurochs died in Poland in 1627. However, genetics tells us that some traditional European breeds retain more of the ancient gene pool than others. Hungarian Gray is one of those breeds that stayed relatively isolated and unchanged for centuries. While not Aurochs, it carries a genetic and visual memory of that wild ancestor. The story of Hungarian Gray is also a story of survival. In the Middle Ages, these cattle were driven in massive herds across Europe. Hungarian cowboys, known as gulias, would take thousands of animals on long cattle drives to markets in Vienna, Venice, and beyond. These journeys could last months. Only the strongest animals survived such conditions. Over time, this selected for endurance, disease resistance, and calm strength. The breed became famous not just for meat, but for its ability to thrive where other cattle failed. Meanwhile, the Aurochs had disappeared from the landscape. Forests were cleared, wetlands drained, and wild herds hunted relentlessly. As farming expanded, there was no room left for a giant wild bovine that competed with humans for land. The Aurochs faded into legend, preserved only in bones, art, and old texts. Yet its spirit lived on in cattle that still looked and acted a bit like it once did. The comparison between Hungarian Gray and Aurochs is not just about looks. It is about function and role in the ecosystem. The Aurochs shaped landscapes by grazing and moving across wide territories. Hungarian Gray cattle, when kept in traditional systems, can play a similar role. They graze rough land, control brush, and maintain open grasslands. In modern conservation projects in Hungary, these cattle are often used to restore natural habitats. In this way, they are not only a link to the past, but a tool for the future. There is also something deeply cultural about Hungarian Gray. For Hungary, this breed is a national symbol. It represents resilience, independence, and connection to the land. Paintings, poems, and folklore celebrate these cattle as part of the country's identity. The Aurochs, on the other hand, belongs to a deeper, pan-European memory. It represents a time before nations, when humans shared the land with powerful wild animals. The Hungarian Gray stands at the intersection of these two worlds, wild ancestry and human history. Modern science has tried to recreate the Aurochs through breeding projects like the Heck cattle and more recent Aurochs backbreeding programs. These efforts aim to bring back the look and ecological role of the Aurochs by combining primitive breeds. Hungarian Gray often appears in discussions about these projects because of its ancient appearance. While no project can truly revive the Aurochs, they show how close some living breeds come to capturing its essence. In today's world, Hungarian Gray cattle face different challenges. Industrial farming favors fast-growing, high-yield animals. Breeds like Hungarian Gray, which grow slowly and produce lean meat, are often overlooked. Yet there is a growing appreciation for heritage breeds, for meat with flavor, and for animals raised in harmony with nature. This gives Hungarian Gray a new kind of value, not as a relic, but as a model of sustainable livestock. The Aurochs teaches us what cattle once were, and Hungarian Gray shows us what cattle can still be when shaped by landscape, time, and tradition rather than factories and formulas. One is gone forever, the other still walks the plains of Hungary, carrying that ancient silhouette into the modern age. When you watch a herd of Hungarian Gray moving across open land, horns catching the light, it is easy to imagine what Europe might have looked like when Aurochs ruled the wild. So the story of Hungarian Gray versus Aurochs is not really a story of competition. It is a story of lineage, memory, and continuity. The Aurochs is the root, the wild origin. Hungarian Gray is one of the branches that stayed closest to that root. Through it, we get a living glimpse of the ancient past, a reminder that even in a world of machines and modern breeds, some animals still carry the soul of prehistory in their bones and blood. As we come to the end of this journey through time, one thing becomes clear. The Aurochs may be gone, but its legacy is still alive in the cattle we see today, and the Hungarian Gray stands as one of the most powerful reminders of that ancient world. While it is not a true Aurochs, it carries the look, the strength, and the spirit of its wild ancestor in a way few modern breeds do. From the sweeping horns to the hardy nature shaped by centuries of survival, the Hungarian Gray shows us how deeply history is written into living animals. It connects prehistoric Europe to the farms and grasslands of today, proving that the past is never really gone, it just takes a new form. If you enjoyed uncovering the ancient lineage of cattle with me, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into rare and powerful livestock stories. And I want to hear from you. Do you think the Hungarian Gray is the closest thing we have to the Aurochs today? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation going.